What, do you mind if I ask you what you were diagnosed with?
Which one?
Mental health. I mean, we're talking about mental health.
Which time?
Was it more than once?
It was organic mood disorder, clinical depression. At first they thought I was schizophrenic, but that was only because I was hearing voices and stuff, and it's because I wasn't sleeping. And I told them that because I was presenting like it's schizophrenic, you know?
Do you remember how you felt when... Do you want to throw some more wood on the
Yeah,
fire?
I'm going to do that. Whoa.
Don't throw yourself
Don't fall on the fire.
Do you remember how that diagnosis...
It was great. It was fantastic.
Remember how
Trust me.
Do you remember how it made you feel?
Yeah. All the above. Let me just put myself back there for a second. That was a long time ago. It was like, I don't know, it was like kind of like your worst nightmare unfolding right in front of you, you know? I didn't feel good, I didn't feel happy, I didn't necessarily even feel relieved. And I was so far out of my head that it didn't even, none of it made sense anyway, you know? Like that's the thing when people say, oh, you know, when someone kills themselves, people are acting like that was like a rational decision from someone who was like, you know, in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Like if you fucking kill yourself, it's I'm not talking about assisted suicide or, you know, you've got MS and you're fucked and, you know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like you're going through a crisis, a mental health crisis, and you kill yourself because you can't handle it or you don't have the proper support or whatever the case may be. That is not a rational, it's completely rational when you're in the situation because it is absolutely like being an animal, a small furry animal in a shed that's on fire. You want to get out of it that bad, you know what I mean? You just need to get the fuck out and you will do anything to get out of it. And if you have access to firearms or, you know, sometimes people kill themselves. They can't take it anymore and they kill themselves, and it pisses me off when people say that they're cowards and everything else. Like, fuck man, you know, that is not an easy thing to do. And you're not thinking about the consequences, or maybe you are and it just doesn't register anymore as having any weight because you're a fucking alien wearing your old skin and you don't recognize your own face in the mirror, and you're just in a world that is so fucked up that getting out of it is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me feel when they were like, okay, well, and the thing was, I really felt like they didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, you have a panic disorder, panic attack disorder, an anxiety disorder, and you know, you're clinically depressed, and then they ask your family, like they're just kind of, it's almost like a cold reading from a psychic, you know, they're kind of getting information from whatever you're telling them, and then they're building a story around that, you know, I mean, that's all it is, essentially, you know?
Yeah, there's no actual truth.
There's no
right?
litmus test. I mean, yeah, okay, if you're, and again, I'm no expert, but I mean, if you're down in lithium, right, if they can measure something in you, in terms of your levels, like, yeah, you can be depressed if your thyroid's off. You can be depressed if your B vitamins are off. You can be depressed if you're malnourished, if you're you know, not sleeping right. You can exhibit all of these things, anxiety, depression, and everything else. Or maybe, you know, your whole family's been killed in a car accident, and you know, you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like trauma and crisis can, and then there's some people that just roll through that shit, and it's not a problem. And then they'll either be judged weak or strong, but let's get into the debate of all that and what is weak and what is strength. I mean, we could be here all night talking about all this, but it didn't make me feel, I honest to God, when that was all happening, you know, all that was, okay, now you put a name on it and they're going to give you pills to fix that name. But, and then when they give you pills, it was like, well, what do these fucking things do? Like, you know, I'm not just going to take this shit blindly. What does this do? And they make you think differently. And well, that just caused another panic attack. Like, what do you mean they changed the way I think? Like, no, it wasn't explained right. It wasn't done as well as it could have been done. But that's just a first world problem, because I guess I was lucky enough to have any kind of care whatsoever and not cost thousands of dollars, you know?